Hey guys,
Hey, I'm Cassie.
I'm Daniel.
This is Daniel. We've got our tea and coffee.
Cheers.
I took so long that
It's
I
HEFCON.
drank it all. Yeah, but anyways, today we are talking about the secrets of a good offer. So right now we are in a seller's market, which
hmm
means that there's not a lot of houses, low housing inventory, but there's not a shortage of buyers. There's a lot. We're seeing right now that when homes are going on the market, there are oftentimes multiple offers, and sometimes within the first couple days that they come on the market. So when you go to put an offer on a home right now, you want to make sure that your offer is going to stand out amongst the rest.
Yeah. So first thing, the basics of an offer. So an offer goes over things obviously like price, things like down payment, things of what kind of loan program you're going to use, when the close date is going to be for the house. In fact, in Oregon, we use what's called the Oregon Real Estate Forms, and the purchase offer for a house is 11 pages long. And a lot of it is just stuff that's pre-written, but there's a lot of details in there that need to be filled out, and that's something that you'll do with your real estate agent. So typically what happens is once you find a home that you want to put an offer on, you'll go and sit down with your agent or FaceTime or do Zoom because of coronavirus. But they'll walk you through all the details of the offer and make sure you know exactly what you're offering um, before you actually submit that to the seller. So beyond that, what we wanted to do in this video and in this blog post that we did is share some of the things that not everyone knows about that can make your offer a bit more attractive to a seller. So right now, like Cassie mentioned, that we're in a seller's market, meaning that the seller is kind of the one who has the leverage. They can put a home on the market and know pretty well that they're going to get an offer. If there's nothing wrong with the house, that they'll get an offer soon, that they could likely get multiple offers, and that there's likely going to be offers above asking. So what we want to share though is things that you can do to make your offer stand out amongst the rest. And there's a few tricks that I've learned over the past few years that have helped get my clients or our clients help their offer win over all the other offers that are on the table. So I'm going to share some of those with you. So whether you work with us or working with another agent, they're just things that you can keep in mind, that if you're getting ready to put an offer on a home, then you can make that offer as good as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first thing, and you might have heard of this before because we've heard quite a few people do it, it's writing a letter.
Mm-hmm.
So when a seller receives multiple offers, oftentimes, they're paying attention to the numbers, they're paying attention to the details, they're not thinking about the person behind the offer. But when you send in a letter, especially something that's really personal, it gives a face and a name and a family behind that offer. So sharing things like your family's name, sharing pictures of your family, what your hobbies are, what you like to do, and specifically what you love about the home and what your future dreams are living in this home. Because a seller wants to know that whoever's going to buy the home, they're going to love it, they're going to take care of it, and they're passionate about it. And we've seen situations where offers have come in that are higher than someone else's offer, but because the lower offer had a really personal letter that touched the seller's heart and spoke to them, they went with that offer. So we couldn't recommend this enough.
Yeah. As much as people like to believe that they're all about the numbers, human beings tend to be emotional, and it doesn't hurt to pull on the heartstrings. So one of the other things that not everyone knows about, and it can be a little complicated, but it's called an escalation clause. Now, what an escalation clause does, it basically allows you to have a maximum limit on your offer without necessarily having to pay that amount. So say, for example, there's a house that's listed at $350,000 and you happen to know that maybe there's 3 other offers on the table. So what an escalation clause does, it can put an offer in at, say, $350,000, but then says you'll beat another offer by a certain amount up to a maximum of maybe 360 or 370, depending on how competitive you need to be or can be. So this is something that's really important to consider, because rather than just offering 20,000 above asking, where no matter what you're going to pay that amount, it can be helpful to start lower but then go up by increments, essentially, so that you can make sure that you still get the house without having to pay more than you have to. So it's a little more involved. It's kind of hard to explain without like seeing all the numbers. We break down how all the numbers look on our blog post.
Which is linked in the description.
Yeah, we got that linked in the description. I recommend you checking that out because it's kind of cool to see how that all works. If you have more questions about this, obviously feel free to reach out and I can explain it more.
Yeah, and the escalation clause has helped with quite a few clients. So.
Yeah. One thing to remember is that if you're writing an escalation clause, you have to, your pre-approval letter has to be at least the amount that you're offering. So you can't say that your maximum amount will be $400,000 if your pre-approval letter is only for, say, $380,000. Yeah.
Yeah. The next thing you can offer is a short close. So typically, a home closing takes about 30 to 35 days, but you could offer, say, 3 weeks. Now, you have to be really careful when offering this because in order for this to happen, every single person involved has to be on board. So there's a lot of people involved. You have to order an appraisal really quickly. The inspections have to go really quickly. Underwriting has to go through and title has to work together to get it all done as quickly as possible. Now, for some loan programs, you actually cannot do a shorter time to close. So you have to make sure that you've talked with your real estate agent, you've talked with your lender to make sure that everyone's on board and that it's possible for you. But if you are able to, it's really attractive for a seller because putting their home on the market takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of time, it disrupts their routine, and lots of people are coming in and out of their house. So if it can happen, that would be really attractive for a seller. Now, if you say that and you're not actually able to, then that causes issues because you actually might have to pay the seller for the time that it goes over because essentially what you wrote is not viable in the contract.
Yeah. This is something, again, like Cassie said, talk to your real estate agent about what the shortest time frame could be. Also confirm with your lender because we've seen before that some agents will try to be really ambitious just to get an offer accepted, but they didn't talk to the lender first and make sure that that time frame would actually work.
And a quality lender will be in communication constantly with the lender throughout the process.
Or a good real estate agent will be in contact with the lender.
Oh. Did I say it backwards?
That's fine. So the next part is an earnest money deposit. Earnest money is basically an amount that you'll give upfront, usually within the first few business days, to, it's basically like a good faith deposit that you're giving to the seller. Now, if the seller's taking their home off the market by accepting an offer, they don't want to get to the end of the process only to have the buyer decide to back out, and then their house has to go back on the market. So an earnest money deposit is just a way to guarantee essentially that a buyer is going to go through with the offer. So by giving a larger earnest money deposit, you're basically saying that you're all in and that you're not just going to back out of the market because you get cold feet. The only problem, or the only, I guess, risk with a larger earnest money deposit is you have to come up with the money out of pocket up front. And if you do decide to back out of the transaction for a reason other than the inspection or appraisal, which I think we'll go into in another video, then you'd lose that. But your earnest money deposit automatically goes towards your down payment and any of your other closing costs. So if you're going through with a house, then by giving a larger earnest money deposit, you're not actually spending any more money, but you can still make your offer more attractive to the seller.
Yeah, as long as you go through all the way to the very end.
Right.
So the last thing that we'll talk about today is short inspections or no inspections. So typically an inspection window is 10 business days, and in this time you can have whatever inspections you deem necessary to be done on the home. So things like having a full house inspection, radon, sewer, if there's a well, getting all these things checked out. And having an inspection is great because you can find out right away if there's big issues. You have an inspection window to negotiate back and forth with the seller to see who's going to pay for them, how they're going to get done, who's going to fix it. But it is possible to say that you're willing to do a shorter inspection window. So instead of 10 days, doing less. And this would be attractive to a seller because that's less time to do the back and forth negotiating. The risk you'd run, though, is possibly not enough time to get all the negotiations in that you want. The other thing you can offer is no inspection whatsoever. This would be highly, highly attractive to a seller because that would mean there's not any inspections happening at all. It saves time, and if there were any issues with the home, then they wouldn't be discovered in that time frame, and as a buyer, you would have to find out about them later. Now, we personally would never recommend not doing an inspection at all because, like we said, if you find out about a really big issue after you buy the home, it could cost you thousands of dollars, which could have been negotiated in that time frame, or you could have backed out if it didn't feel like something you were able to deal with. So we put it out there because it is an option if you would like to.
Yeah, and we've seen offers get accepted just because in really competitive situations, just because there wasn't an inspection period.
Yeah.
Again, it's risky, but it is attractive to the seller. So yeah, those are some of the things in a hot market like we're in right now that can make your offer more attractive. There's quite a bit more that goes into an offer that we don't have time to go over in this video. Like I said, there's an 11-page document that you submit when you're actually writing an offer to a seller. Another thing that's important is good rapport between your agent and the other agent.
Yeah.
So this is something that I've just seen a lot, that by being easy to work with, by being professional, that agents are more likely to recommend to their sellers that, hey, this agent knows what they're doing, and this is probably a good offer to accept. And so if you have an agent, make sure that they are good at communicating, that they're going to be professional, that they're going to be on top of everything that they're doing, because it can actually make or break your offer sometimes. Another thing is, if an agent is good at asking questions and finding out information, then they can find out what the seller actually wants and what's important to them.
Yeah.
So don't make assumptions on what you think a seller is going to want, because they may want something that's really different. We've shared ideas that may be attractive to a seller, but sometimes they may need, say, a 60-day close for some reason, or they may need time to live in the house after they actually sell it. There's a lot of different things that can happen. So make sure that your agent is talking to the listing agent, figuring out what's important to the seller, and then writing your offer as custom tailored to that as you possibly can.
It really is like a dance.
Yeah.
You have to work together, you have to ask the right questions, and you have to have an agent who's going to really do the digging needed to write a good offer.
Yeah, it's a very interesting kind of dance.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks, guys. I hope that was helpful, and we will see you again next week. If you have questions, please reach out, leave a comment. We love seeing what people have to say, or we love hearing what people's feedback is.
Oh, yeah, and if you had an experience where you put something in your offer or wrote a really nice letter too, share that, because those are fun stories. We love hearing that stuff, and it's kind of fun to brag too.
Yeah. All right, well, have a good rest of your week, and we'll see you next week. Bye.